to hear from them. And actually, here we go. This is the mayor of Rochester talking about the unrest.
We have to change. As our city, our state, as our nation, as a society, as one community. The reality is, our history is built on a foundation of inequality, and yes, racism. These historic and systematic inequalities continue today. Recent events across our community and our nation have made plain that these realities are still with us. Today's actions on our streets show that the anger is real, and it must be recognized, and it has to be addressed. I, too, am very angry. I share the pain as a Black woman, as a wife of a Black man, and as a mother of a Black child. I have dedicated my life and my career to fighting and eliminating injustice. Today in Martin Luther King Park, many people of all races, ethnicities, and cultures came together peacefully to express their anger and to call for change. And I know that Dr. King smiled down on this city from heaven, proud of the words that were spoken by Ashley, Sabrina, and so many others that spoke today, proud of the people that marched across the Court Street Bridge. Unfortunately, after this group of people left, outsiders, and I do mean outsiders, not from our city, not from our community, decided to set police cars on fire. Look at the videos. Show those pictures. Their actions set other events into motion and effectively overshadowed the meaningful moment that the organizers of today's earlier event worked collectively to create. Those that are driving this violence are not of this city. They are not of Rochester, and we must stop them, and we must all step up. To that end, I have instituted a curfew at 9 p.m. tonight so we can bring calm to just our community and to the hearts and minds of our people. So I call upon all of you to return home, committed to justice and awake tomorrow, committed to building up our community rather than tearing it down. I call on every town, village, and suburb, the people of Gates, Irondequoit, Fairport, Henrietta, Greece, and yes, the people of the city of Rochester, to stand with us, Chief Singletary, Sheriff Baxter, County Executive Bello. This is not something that we are going to run away from. I will be here with you as I stand with you now. Not at home watching from a TV station, not hiding, but here standing alongside you, hurt, angry, frustrated, disappointed, and yes, even afraid. But I still take responsibility for the change that is necessary to ensure that everyone, Black, brown, and white, can live in a more just community and society, where we don't live in fear and where we truly believe that justice can prevail, where our children are not afraid to come face to face with police officers, where the lives of all are valued equitably, where we never forget, but we also honor by our actions George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, Ahmaud Arbery, Michael Brown, too many murdered to name tonight, where we will all believe that our children will be free and have a chance to fulfill their dreams. I know that we are committed. I am committed to fighting and working every day to make this world a reality for our children's sake. I have heard you, and I know we must recommit to doing the real work of making that change happen, not just in our city or our county, but throughout our entire nation. We are in the midst of a global pandemic, one where Black and brown people are dying at a rapid rate. We are in the middle of a span in our community where racism is alive and well and where violence has been leading the way. But we are better than this. We will not let outsiders destroy what we are committed to rebuilding, and that rebuilding starts with each of us. It starts with me, and it starts with you. It starts right here, in the place that Frederick Douglass walked, in the freedom that he fought hard to bring about with other abolitionists. They did it together, and we will do it together. Together, we will protect our circles and protect our city. May God bless Rochester and our entire community. We are better than this, and we will do better by working together, collectively, as a community. Our children deserve to see a city and a county joining hands, lifting each other up, and not tearing each other down. And we will not let anyone from outside of our community come in and incite violence here in our city.
Good evening. What you saw here today was not a protest. This was chaos, pure chaos, not a protest. What happened today was sparked by anarchists, individuals in the crowd who were antagonists. My officers today showed great restraint. They showed great restraint. And right now, they're out here fighting for this community. They're putting their lives on the line for this community. And that's what we do. I have my partners here from the Sheriff's Office, the New York State Police, and these officers did what they were told to do today. They protected, they served, and they're out here fighting for this community. Like the mayor said, we know that there is pain in this community as a result of what happened in Minneapolis. We know that. We get that. The Law Enforcement Council issued a statement yesterday not condoning what occurred. We get that. But what occurred here today was not a protest. That is not how we enact change in our community. That's not how we enact change. And right now, my officers, along with the Sheriff's Office, the State Police, and many others, the community here. We have a community here of clergy who are for this community right now. And my officers are out there right now doing what they have to do to protect this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Warren and Chief Singletary. I want to start by saying earlier this afternoon, as the mayor described what the rally and the gathering was like at Martin Luther King Park, I was there and I attended this peaceful rally. And what I saw there was a community coming together to talk about solutions to the acts of racism and violence that still persist today. And I want to acknowledge the incredible pain that so many people in our community and across the country have felt over the last week in response to the shocking and horrific death of George Floyd. Our community and communities across the country are in pain. And at that rally, we heard from people of all different races and socioeconomic backgrounds, but one message was consistent and clear. We must work together to end racism in communities across the nation, including right here in Monroe County. But unfortunately, that peaceful display of love and support for George Floyd and all those who died before him has become chaotic, violent, and unruly. What we are seeing tonight in the last several hours is not what we saw as a community coming together earlier this afternoon. And we will not allow those who come into this community and wish to do it harm to take over the county and city streets and endanger our residents and their property. These actions have made their way across many communities, and we've seen cars set on fire, buildings broken into, and chaos in the streets. And I do fear for the people and businesses and all parties involved. As a result, I declared a state of emergency earlier tonight, and I issued a curfew for all of Monroe County that begins at 9 p.m. tonight and will last until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I believe that this is in the best interest of our community. We cannot risk harm to life here in Monroe County. And we know that our first responders and law enforcement officers are doing their best. They are putting their lives on the line tonight for the safety of our community. They are working around the clock. I've talked to many of the police chiefs, the sheriff, and the supervisor of the town of Irondequoit about what we can do to work together to keep order, maintain peace, and make sure that this community comes together tonight to do its part to help those brave men and women in law enforcement to do their jobs to keep us and keep this community safe. And I want to thank them, and I want to thank their families, and I call on everyone's support and cooperation tonight as we continue to navigate this situation. I'm asking all residents to please stay home, stay safe, and keep this community in your thoughts and prayers. God bless you.
What about,
We're not doing that. Not right now. Not doing that.
you ain't taking no questions?
Not right now. We're not doing that.
So
Not
they're
right now.
telling us what they're going to do for us, and they didn't do anything for any of them people down there in Oklahoma? What about Oklahoma? Same thing?
I just want to say a few words. The pain and anger that is felt out of Minneapolis, I'm a white police officer, and I can sit here before my friends and say that I understand. But the fact is, I meet with these folks, I hug these folks, we try. But I'm personally telling you that I'll never truly understand what it feels like to be in your shoes and your feet. I'd never experienced it. But what I can tell you is that we are loaded with empathy, we are loaded with compassion, and we are loaded with love for those people that are protesting, looking for significant change in our community and significant change in our way of life. We have compassion for that. We have desire for that. We are on the same sheet. With that being said, what we've seen occur downtown and then move towards the city public safety building was something that transformed and it was hijacked by people that do not believe in our community. And when we've seen turned over police cars and attacks on our community, that cannot be tolerated. That obviously cannot be tolerated by people, especially from the outside. So what we're doing is assisting the city police department by establishing field force. Every town in Monroe County, the state police and the county sheriffs is in the city of Rochester because we love the city of Rochester, because we want to be here in the city of Rochester. We can turn a blind eye to what's occurring here, but we want to be part of this place. We want to be part of one community. And we are also out through every town in Monroe County. Every chief was with us this morning, forming this up, working with the RPD and working with the New York State Police because we are one team. We want to be one community, folks. We really do. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. But we are reaching out on a continuous basis. We are looking for improvement. Please hear that loud and clear. We have empathy. We have anger for what occurred in Minnesota, but we also cannot allow the city to be hijacked and burned down. It will not be tolerated. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So we have the constitutional right to protest. If you feel you've been wrong, you should do just that. You should protest. But when a protest turns to violence, the message becomes lost. It no longer is as effective as it should be and could be. Dr. Martin Luther King was a peaceful man. That's why he was so impactful. So I can tell you as a non-white police officer and being the subject of discrimination in the past, I get it. But you don't fix it by committing acts of grand larceny, acts of arson, acts of assault. The protest becomes ineffective when people use it as an opportunity to rip off the very communities that they live in. The message becomes lost. I stand in solidarity contemporaneously with the protesters while standing with my law enforcement partners to ensure that we keep the community safe. If you're committing acts of lawlessness, we're going to not allow that. We have to stop that because then the community is no longer safe. And again, the message gets lost. So protest. Do it. Just do it right. Say no to the violence. Don't permit it. And if you live in this very city, and I grew up in a city, Buffalo, you love it by protecting it. Get the message out. Do it right. Thank you very much.
So I just wanted to come up here and say to all of the people in our community that we need to be safe. We understand that there's a lot of anger in our community, communities of color. What's happening nationally, there's a lot of issues that people are concerned about. But at the same time, what transpired today, unfortunately, did not represent us well. And I know that there were some great protests that happened earlier in the day, very peaceful. Community came together. And then what happened here at the Public Safety Building and what's transpiring across the Rochester community right now is not how we should represent ourselves. I understand the anger. We know there's inequities. We know that there's many challenges in our community. At the same time, we have to be responsible. We can't tear up our own communities. We all live here. And those who came in from the outside and incited some of this, I'm very disturbed by that. We work very hard in the city of Rochester to make changes, to improve quality of life. And when we have issues like this, it just puts a black eye on the community. We are a great community. We can do better. We will do better. And I ask everyone, please, just go home. There's no reason to do this any longer. The message was sent. Go home. And we will pick up tomorrow in a better place than we were today. And we'll start to heal ourselves as a community. Thank you.
I'm going to say something in Spanish for my Spanish folks out there. So, a la comunidad latina les pedimos que se queden en su casa, que esta tarde hubieron protestas que fueron buenas y seguras para nuestra comunidad, pero desafortunadamente durante la tarde hubieron diferentes personas que entraron a nuestra comunidad a crear más problemas que han resultado en todo lo que ustedes han visto esta tarde. So, les pedimos que no sean parte de esas protestas o destrucción de nuestra comunidad. Y les pedimos que se queden en su casa y como la alcaldesa dijo, esta noche va a haber un toque de queda desde las 9 de la noche. So, les pedimos a la comunidad latina que se queden en su casa y que protejan a su familia. Gracias.
My name is Bishop Jeffrey Melvin. I've been in Rochester since 1967. I'm a part of this community. I pastor here in Rochester. Now, let me just say this. I've known every mayor since Stephen May, second grade, 36 school. I was raised right here, and I want to tell you that this mayor and chief of police, they are part of our city. We don't want to force them to have to enforce peace. I get the frustration. I know what it's like to see blue lights in my mirror, and I shake until the time that police pulls off. I don't have a record. I've never been to jail. I'm a peaceful person, but I have intrepidation in my heart, even in New York, whenever I get pulled over by the police officers. I feel your frustration. I know what you're going through. I had to pray just to get past my feelings of anger. But as Rochesterians, this is not how we react. This is not how we do things. I have over 130 nieces and nephews in this city. This is not how we react. We don't react by busting into stores and stealing sneakers. There's better ways to do this. So do not force these folks' hand to have to keep the peace. I beg of you young people, stay home. Don't come out tonight. Don't come out tomorrow. Don't protest in that way. There was peaceful protest earlier, and it turned into something else, as the mayor said, by outside people. We love you. We care about you. We want to see you grow old and be prosperous and have children and grandchildren. This is not what we do as Rochesterians. Please stay home, stay away from the mobs, and let the process take care of itself. Thank you for your time. Be peaceful. I'm praying for you all. We love you. We want to see you get to a ripe old age like me. You can't do it by doing what you've been doing today. All right, God bless you all.
Any specific questions will be answered by the police chief as well as the sheriff and the major. You know, today we are joined by people from all over our community. Our clergy want to thank them for being here. Want to thank Ibero American Action League, who has come today to support us. CEO Angie Perez Delgado for her team being here, and Orlando Ortiz, who have been such great supporters of our community. Miguel Melendez stepping up and coming here to join with us, because as you see, we are all in this together. When we look across the spectrum, you have black, you have white, you have law enforcement, you have people from the community. We are here together because we want to show this community that we are in this together. Rochester cannot rise by itself. The rising tide lifts all boats, and that means I understand that the boat is different for a lot of people. Some people have big boats and some people have small boats. But I can tell you that all of us lifting up together and walking side by side will allow for this community to heal and to come together as one. It is up to us, one by one. And I know if you have any questions that you would like for the police chief or the sheriff, the major to address, you can ask those questions now.
Chief Singletary, once the curfew goes into effect, how will it be enforced? Will your men, law enforcement in general, be picking up people found violating the curfew?
Yes, we will. We will enforce this curfew for the safety of everybody involved, to include the public and police officers. So we will be enforcing the curfew. We're going to be here. We're not going nowhere. We're going to be here.
You said that people said that there were outside people who came and are they known? You know they're going around different communities. It's the same group, and how are you going to deal with those individuals?
Yeah, well, you know what? We're going to use every tool that we have available to identify those individuals, to include cameras that we have throughout our city. That's what we're going to do. We know that there were individuals who are not from the city who did. Hold on, hang on a second. We know that there were individuals who are not from the city who created some of the havoc that you see here today. We know that. We know that. And we're going to use every tool available to go after them.
You know who they are?
We're going to find out.
So why is it that when you have a camera or video of a murder, you got to take a week, 2 weeks, or however long it takes to find out what's going on?
It doesn't happen.
For somebody like me, I'm locked up.
We know.
I'm dealing with the system.
We know. We don't agree with what happened to me.
I'm not talking about here in Rochester,
right, and I'm about to address that. I'm about to address that, though.
I'm talking about when he killed that
We
man.
know. We're not condoning that. We're not condoning that. We spoke about that loud and clear, that is not within the values of the policing profession, what occurred in Minneapolis. And we spoke about that loud and clear. Okay?
The government is the government.
How many injuries?
All laws are supposed to be the same.
So here in Rochester, we have held people accountable that have committed and not acted within the spirit of the law. And so I know that this chief has held people accountable and will continue to hold people accountable. And so, sir, we understand you, we hear you, we understand your frustration. And as I stated before, and as the chief has stated, here in Rochester, we don't hide behind it. We let it out and we deal with it. And we have dealt with it. Check our record.
So it's all the same government, though.
Listen, I'm the mayor, that's the county executive, this is the chief. I cannot control what happens in other cities, but I can tell you that in this city, you check our record.
But is it one law for the United States of America?
Sir. Go ahead, sir.
Can you talk about any injuries to police officers or to civilians?
Right now, we're still taking that into account. I don't have that number for you, but we'll get that number for you. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to misspeak. So we'll get that number for you if there are some.
Speaking of those outsiders, I know there's been a history of, I think, the March for Our Lives rally. There was that protest. Man and his son taking pictures at the rally. It was a group of outsiders that kind of started that same trouble. It's kind of been a long record, I think, of, I'm not going to name the towns where they are, but it seems to be, are you suspecting this is that same kind of group of people again, rounding things up here?
Right. So what you see across the country is kind of similar to what you saw today. You have individuals who are professional protesters who come in from the outside, who try to create chaos and disruption in our community. And that's exactly what happened today. Like was mentioned earlier, we had peaceful protests that were meaningful. And then we had anarchists, who we know are probably not from this community, who created the havoc that you see right now in this community. You know, and my officers, again, I want to reiterate that. The officers today show great restraint, you know, but there is a point in time when we have to draw the line and protect this community.
Chief, can you just paint a picture of us, for us, of what this lockdown will look like for the evening?
Well, I think the mayor said it clear. I mean, the reason why we have a curfew in place, like you saw in many other cities that we're doing here today, is for the safety of everyone. So we're asking right now the public to not be on the streets. At 9 o'clock, a curfew will go into effect. Stay home for the safety of yourselves and for the safety of everybody else. Stay home. The curfew is in effect for a reason. Okay, and we're going to do everything that we can to continue to provide information to the public to keep them informed with regards to as to how the curfew continues.
How many nights for the curfew?
I'll get that for you.
How many nights for the curfew? Do we know yet?
Right now, we're going to take it day by day. We're going to see what happens. But what we're urging right now is people to be peaceful. You know, we get it. We understand that there's pain in this community. You know, we understand it. We send a message loud and clear to Law Enforcement Council, and I think many people in this community have spoken out, that we do not agree with what happened in Minneapolis. We don't agree with it. It's not within the profession of law enforcement. It's not within the values of law enforcement. It's not within the principles of law enforcement. So we don't agree with it.
Chief, is there a plan for tomorrow to make sure that there's no violence, no protests, you know, happening tomorrow?
Yeah, so we're always planning. We're always planning. And today, we plan for it today as well. So yes, we will be planning for tomorrow. We're urging people right now to stay home. Okay, the mayor has issued a curfew, and we will enforce that curfew. We will do what we need to do to keep Rochester safe. And I'm working with my partners here, and we stand shoulder to shoulder. The people in this community, we stand shoulder to shoulder.
When you say that the curfew, does that mean you guys are patrolling the streets?
Right now,
or throughout the night?
Yes, we will be. Right now, what you saw today with the lawlessness, we're going to make sure that ceases, right? We're going to make sure that stops. Cease and desist, right? So we're going to enforce the curfew as the curfew is in effect.
Are you aware of any of these outside actors moving out to other areas? It seems like we've been seeing reports from Greece around it quite. It seems like maybe.
I'll let the sheriff address that.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. It seems like we've been seeing and hearing some reports of these outside antagonists, as they're been called, going out of their towns like Greece, Irondequoit. Any evidence of that for sure? Or?
Yeah, so we've had crowds form in Irondequoit and crowds form in Greece. They dispersed pretty quick. And like I said, every chief is involved in our field force, our command post for the sheriff's office. Not only are they policing their own town and called in extra resources, but they also dedicated people to what we call a field force that's mobile, that we can go mobile field force, and then assisting in those town PDs when they're having issues. So we've had small gatherings, nothing very significant, nothing like you've seen downtown here, but the idea is we can't allow that to occur. The city of Rochester, town of Irondequoit, it just can't occur. We feel the protest, we want change, right? But we can't let what occurred today occur any further. So
they believe to be the same crowds from here. I mean, is that?
Yeah. So we believe it's the same anarchists, if you will, same people that are leading these crowds. You know, most of the people that are out there protesting today, for a great reason, live and shop and buy and work in this community that's being looted and destroyed. They're not going in and destroying the stores that they shop in. They're not going and destroying the stores that they you know, go to all the time. So we believe it's the outside anarchists coming in. They do it all the time. They jeer up the crowd to get people going, and then they hide in the anonymity of the crowd, and then to try and drift off. But I think you heard the chief say very clear, they may be drifting off, but we're going to find them. And if they're anarchists that started this downtown, law enforcement will hold them accountable.
This might be for around Mayor Warren, but I guess any messages from people in the city or officers out there tonight?
I think what we want is people to be clear that we're not going to tolerate any lawlessness in this city. You know, officers are still going out there doing what they need to do to protect this community, and that's what we expect them to do. And those individuals will be held accountable who did what happened today. You know, we must hold people accountable for people who want to protest peacefully. And like the Major said earlier, people have a First Amendment right. We're all for that. We believe in that. You know, people can protest. there's going to be frustration as a result of what happens. You see it all over the country. You know, we knew that this is potentially going to come our way, right? But right now, we're urging people to stay home. There's a curfew in effect. We need to make sure that we do everything that we can to understand people, and people need to heed our message. Stay home. It's for your safety right now at this point. And let me, before I say anything else, I just want to continue to commend the law enforcement of this community. They did a remarkable job today.
Was there any tie-in with, you've had a lot of the street parties and things like that in the last weekends? Any tie-in from that type of activity?
No. No, this is not any tie-in. I think that the chief is 100% right. We do want to thank the men and women of all of our law enforcement agencies. Let me repeat that again. We want to thank the men and women of all of our law enforcement agencies for doing the right thing and holding the peace today. Because we know that those outsiders wanted to provoke you. But you held the line, and you made us very, very proud. We want our officers to be safe. They go out here every day. They put on a uniform, and they go out to protect and also to serve. But as I have a family, they have a family that wants them to come home at night. I am asking our community to be respectful, to allow our law enforcement officers to do their job and to be able to go home to their families safely, not just tonight, but every night, 365 days of the year. And as I said to this gentleman here, when people in our community don't uphold the law that they are to protect and to serve, I know for a fact that this chief holds people accountable. I trust him to do right by this city. He has done right by this city. And we have to do right by him and by the children of our community. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Can you talk about what was used at this first?
We're done.
What about dress cop?
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Thank all the members of our clergy. Thank you.
Okay, so this was a news conference.